Welcome to One Breath Wisdom, the podcast for therapists, healers, and soul-led space holders, ready to lead from wholeness, not burnout. I am Lisa McNett, founder of One Breath Institute and co-creator of the One Breath Method. Each week, I will be sharing trauma-informed insight, somatic tools, and real stories from the healing path, sometimes solo, sometimes with our co-founder, Deborah Dickey, and sometimes with special guests walking this path in their own powerful way. Together, we will explore how healing, embodiment, and presence can transform the way we live, lead, and care for others without losing ourselves. Let's take a breath and begin. Hello and welcome to One Breath Wisdom. I am your host, Lisa McNett, and today I want to dive into the connection between breathing, your lungs, and the immune system. So let's get into it. It's spring, and most people think seasonal allergies are something that they just have to live with. I used to believe that too because I literally could not breathe for most of my childhood. I had constant congestion as far back as I could remember. When I was young, I had chronic colds, I had chronic ear infections, I had chronic all ENT and upper respiratory problems. I was born in the 70s, and there was a period of time where it seemed like all of my classmates, everybody was getting tubes put in, having tube surgeries, right? And I almost had that tube surgery where I had tubes put into my ears because of the chronic ear infections. Fortunately, I stopped getting those ear infections so that it didn't go so far as that to happen to me. But I was so medicated. I was highly medicated for allergies my entire childhood. Pills, nose spray, always changing out the pills, always trying different things because nothing worked. And it was, aside from the fact that it was embarrassing, it's embarrassing to always have a snotty nose. I always felt like crap. I never felt good. And I remember having this underlying state of panic in my system. I wouldn't have had the language for anxiety, but I'll use the word panic. I couldn't sleep, chronic insomnia related to this congestion. Other things as well, but the congestion was always there. I could not breathe. I could not breathe. And what I didn't understand then was that my body was not broken. I did strongly know that the issues I was facing had to do with my environment. I was intelligent enough to know, and there were direct correlations. But I did not understand that my immune system was overwhelmed. Back in the 70s and 80s, everybody smoked, and everybody smoked everywhere. So my parents, my grandparents, on both sides of the family smoked in the house, smoked in the cars, and with the windows up, right? Smoking with the windows up. I would struggle with this so hard. I remember myself and my brother begging for our family members my parents, grandparents, can you just roll down the windows so that we can breathe? So clear. I also knew that I was allergic to things like my mom's perfume. She would spray her perfume. I would start sneezing. I would get congested. I had sensitivity to a lot of chemicals going way back. Maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you also grew up in this environment where everybody was smoking or there were tons of chemicals. And yeah, that was a different time. And there's more educational awareness now. But there are still so many factors in our environment that do lead to allergies and chronic allergies, not just external, but also inside our homes, inside our offices, inside our cars, in the air that we breathe, in the water that we drink. But I want to dive into, fast forward to it's 2007, I'm around 30, and I go to India. And I'm studying Ayurveda and I'm studying yoga. But part of that is being really immersed in these practices of eating Ayurvedic food, of doing yoga, of meditating, of doing breath work, literally all day. And I went through such a detoxification. It's a bit insane. All of the congestion was coming out. I was snotty everywhere. I was sneezy everywhere. I got sick. I had a fever. I was in bed for a few days with just fever sweat and stuff coming out congestion wise. And I was given herbs to support this, but I was told by the Ayurvedic physician, I'm not sick. I'm just detoxing. I went through literally like 2 months of my skin being horrible, like having pimples everywhere, having rashes everywhere. And I went through a week, I won't go into these details, but very bad stomach stuff. And I kept going to the Ayurvedic physician and being like, please help me. He was like, you are not sick. This was the first time that somebody told me that I was detoxing. And this is a big part of Ayurveda. This is a big part of other systems as well of holistic healing is that there needs to be an elimination of the buildup of toxins in the body. And specifically when it comes to allergies, because I was curious about my allergies and I was curious about all this congestion. This was the first time that somebody told me that my lungs were not a problem, but that they were the pathway, that I was having allergies because my immune system was compromised, particularly in my lungs, and that my lungs needed to be cleansed. My lungs needed to dispel the toxins that were held within them and to be strengthened with herbs. I literally did not believe him. I was like, no, allergies are allergies. You're allergic to the things that are out there, whether it's smoke or whether it's pollen or whether it's this, this, and this, and this. But after I left India, after I had this process of detoxification and strengthening of my lungs, of the immune system of my lungs, I did not have allergies. Did not have allergies. Now, allergies creep in every now and then, and I know exactly what they can be attributed to at this point, and it has everything to do with the immune system. So let's talk about the lungs. They are highly hydrated tissues. They are about 80% water. So the lungs need a lot of water to keep them they're cleansing. They're always cleaning, they're always purifying, and they need water to help with that process. And so if you are dehydrated, if you are not taking in enough water, then you are contributing to dehydration. You are contributing to a compromised immune system in the lungs. Lungs are the detox pathway of our body. We are eliminating actually most of the metabolic waste of our body. About 70% of the metabolic waste from our body is eliminated through carbon dioxide. And the lungs are really the interface between our body and our external environment. We are breathing air into the body through the lungs, and air is filtered through, and the lungs are also eliminating most 70% of the metabolic waste that our body needs to eliminate happens through the lungs. Doesn't happen through sweating, it happens through the lungs. When you breathe through the nose humidifies the air that is coming in and produces nitric oxide. Nitric oxide supports the oxygen uptake into your system and therefore supports immunity. There's these little tiny cilia, nose hairs that filter toxins as well. As you are breathing in, it's helping to keep things out that don't need to come in, supports the production of nitric oxide, which supports oxygen intake and immunity. Mouth breathing actually bypasses that filtration system and increases our sympathetic or stress activation. Now, some of you may be thinking, and I get this question a lot because we utilize mouth breathing for specific purposes. At One Breath Institute, part of the One Breath method is utilizing mouth breathing, and there's other methods of utilizing mouth breathing as well as a process for healing. And part of that purpose is because it does support a little bit of sympathetic activation and it supports bringing in more air more rapidly. And I'm not going to go into all of this right now, but what I want to say is that that method of breathing should be utilized only for specific purposes. And in our day to day life, you want to be, and it's important to be breathing through the nose, that nasal breath to support greater immune system, greater ability to detox, and also the ability to be into more of a parasympathetic or rest and digest mode. If you can't breathe because you're congested, you're oftentimes mouth breathing. So you are activating your sympathetic system. Your body is more stressed. Let's just keep it super simple. Mouth breathing primarily, your body is more stressed and you are missing some of the filtration system that helps to cleanse and clear and purify the lungs and keep a healthy immune system. There's so much more that's happening as well, but we'll just leave it at that just to keep it simple for today. So, as you can see, allergies are not just a pollen problem. It is more connected to immune system sensitivity and overload. The lungs are already compromised, the immune system is already lowered, and now this is turning into a vicious cycle where you can't breathe and you're more prone to allergies, less prone to being able to breathe. And it just becomes this sort of vicious cycle where you have a stress response that's happening. And how you breathe is shaping how your body responds to the world. Another thing I want to mention here that's super important to bring into the conversation is that our lungs store and hold grief. This is according to traditional Chinese medicine, this is according to Ayurveda, and this is a somatic truth that I have found over and over working with clients over the years. And I invite you just to take this one sentence and connect with it and find the truth in it for yourself. Grief restricts our breath. Grief restricts our breath, and shallow breathing can lead to unresolved emotional holding. And many people are shallow breathing and have been shallow breathing for a long time. So when we talk about allergies, we are not just talking about pollen. We are talking about the environment. We are talking about the immune system. We are talking about breath patterns. We are talking about emotional holding patterns. A few other things I want to say about the lungs. The lungs can hold about 5 liters of oxygen, and we only utilize about 8% of our lung capacity. Also, most of us breathe into the same parts of our lungs at all times. This is due to our tension patterns, our chronic ways that we are holding the body, our posture, unresolved issues, unresolved grief, even learning to do deep breathing. So, a lot of people find in yoga, they're taught to breathe, or taught in meditation, are taught to breathe into the belly and start becoming deep belly breathers. That's great. And there's other parts of the lungs that also need the breath. I like to teach something called lung stretching. And lung stretching is simply that. It is you're exercising your lungs. Your lungs have such a capacity to stretch and then go back to their normal position. Every time we take a breath, they are stretching into the place that we are breathing, as long as we are breathing deep enough for them to have the opportunity to stretch. So notice where I'm going to invite you, first of all, to breathe through your nose whenever possible. to notice if you're a shallow breather or to notice where in the body you do tend to breathe regularly. I'm going to invite you to support your body instead of suppressing symptoms or instead of just medicating, especially with medications that may be pharmaceutical or aren't working anymore. So there's plenty of different herbs that you can take, teas, lifestyle changes that one can make, but lung stretching is a great way to start. So breathing through the nose and I know not everybody can see me. This is a podcast. We do have this episode on YouTube, but you can breathe up into the chest and you can place a hand just, the upper chest and take some breaths into the upper chest and notice if you can have any movement in the upper chest as you breathe. Just take a few breaths like that, seeing if you can lift the hand, have any movement in the upper chest as you breathe. And then do that around your diaphragm line. So it's just, at the bottom of the breastbone, along the diaphragm. You can feel some ribs and you can also feel some softness with the bottom of your hand. Breathe into that area. Can you breathe into that area? What can you experience and feel? Can you feel any movement as you breathe in there? Take a few breaths there. Okay, I'm going to go kind of quickly here. You can bring your hand lower to the belly. Take some breaths into the belly. Expand the belly on the inhale. Now this is where it's going to get a little more interesting. Bring your hands to the sides of your body, around the rib cage, and see if you can breathe and expand out the sides of your body. Let the rib cage expand out towards your hands. Take a few breaths that way. And you can work with one side at a time. You can breathe into the left side, expand out through the left rib cage. Breathe into the right side, expand out through the right rib cage. Notice if one side you can breathe more easily into. Then we want to breathe out through the back. And so you can lie down and do this on the floor, or you can sit back against something, but breathe into the back. Let's just say the upper back to start and press out. Let the back of the body press out towards the chair or to the floor behind you. And you can work your way from upper back down to lower back, breathing in that way on the inhale, bringing the breath to the back of the body and letting the back of the body reach out to what is behind you or underneath you. So practice that on your own time and notice the parts of your body that feel like it's easier to breathe into and to expand and where it doesn't. And because the lungs hold grief and unprocessed sadness, don't be surprised if while you're practicing some of these deep breathing exercises that you have a little emotion move through. Just allow the emotion to move through. If it does, you may also have some memory or some insight what that emotion is connected to, and you may not, but just know that that's something that can happen. So your body is not working against you. It never is. It is trying to clear what it was never meant to carry. These toxins from the environment, it's not meant to hold on to those. And if we're taking in more toxins than we can process, or we are not processing them through the breath or with herbal supplements that will support, or with enough water that will support those processing, then we are going to have allergies or other issues. Just a few things to recap. If you have chronic allergies, if you're struggling or have ever related to the experience of I can't breathe, know that your body is not broken and that your lungs are not the problem. They are a pathway, and through connection to the lungs, curiosity and supporting them, you can heal yourself and you can find breath. And how you breathe shapes how you relate to and respond to the world. Thanks for tuning in. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it, and let me know what you thought of today's episode. I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you for listening to One Breath Wisdom. If something in today's episode spoke to you, I would love to know it. Send me a message on Instagram at One Breath Institute or at Lisa McNett, and please share the episode with someone else who needs to hear it. Remember, you are not here to carry it all. You are here to come home to yourself, one breath at a time. Until next time, take a breath and be well.